Hey everyone, welcome back to Engineered Baking. This week we're going to take a look at one of my favorite desserts to make, the brookie, a layered dessert using a chocolate chip cookie as a base with a brownie on top. To see the cookie recipe I used, be sure to check out the link in the description to one of my previous videos. I'd like to thank Cooks Illustrated, The Science of Good Cooking, for the brownie batter recipe I used for this. Now let's get to making our blended brownie batter. To begin, we will whisk together cocoa powder and boiling water until homogeneous. Next, we will whisk in finely chopped unsweetened chocolate, or sweetened chocolate if you prefer, but a lot of the sweetness will come from the sugar we will add in later. Be sure to taste the batter that splashed onto your finger as well. Be sure to have a small plate on hand to rest your spatula on when you are not using it, so as to avoid dirtying your roommate's table with brownie batter. Next, whisk in vegetable oil and melted butter. Again, I always suggest using Irish butter in baking, as it adds a richness to your finished product that simply cannot be beat. Except by store-brand margarine, but that was one time, and to be honest, margarine got lucky. After adding in oil and butter, it is time to add in eggs and vanilla extract. I find shot glasses a convenient way to store pre-measured liquid ingredients that are small in quantity. Shout out to my friends in Texas for this awesome shot glass. The last ingredient we will whisk in will be 2 1/2 cups of sugar. I did say a lot of sweetness would come from the added sugar in this brownie. Try to add in the sugar gradually when whisking to better disperse it into the batter. When finished whisking, drip some of that delicious batter into the bowl, and then add in some all-purpose flour with salt and mix together with a spatula. Lastly, similarly to how we folded flour in with our pound cake, we will fold in chopped pieces of chocolate. These will provide a variety of taste and texture to the finished product, allowing for a truly delicious brownie. The brownie batter will be relatively liquid at this point, so mixing flour in by hand will not be too difficult. By folding the pieces of chocolate in as opposed to just straight up mixing them, we will achieve a better layering effect within the brownie and have the solid chunks of chocolate within it when it is done baking. So, as Pastor Chris talks to no one because his microphone was not set up, I wanted to take this time to talk about an engineering concept of structure and layering. Our brownie batter and cookie dough each have a different density to them, but will have about the same volume in our pan, making the cookie dough heavier. When we layer our desserts, one thing we want to do is to put what is heavier on bottom in order to form our base. This will give it more stability by making the center of gravity closer to the ground. Think of it like building a tall skyscraper. You generally do not want the skyscraper to be heaviest on top and lightest on bottom. From a baking perspective, one happy coincidence is that the cookies will take less time to bake. This works out well because the brownies on top will block the convection and radiation from baking our cookies, and they will rely solely on conduction to bake. If you find yourself making a recipe that has a more dense layer on bottom that takes longer to bake, pre-baking is also an option to allow it to bake before cutting off two forms of heat transfer. And in an homage to one of my inspirations for this channel, Binging with Babish, check out his channel if you have somehow found your way to this corner of baking YouTube and not seen his channel yet. Here's a cross-section of the brookie. Notice the melting chocolate and the brownie layer from our folded piece of chocolate, and how the cookie forms a nice base layer of this dessert to give it a little bit of stability. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed learning about structure and layered desserts. Next time we'll take a look at baking a pie.